Okay, so we're talking about the really superior tools in search, Bing Webmaster Tools, right? Bing Webmaster Tools combined with Search Console can do so much that normally you'd have to pay an expensive SEO tool to get. You get for free from Bing Webmaster Tools, and one of the things Bing Webmaster Tools does that these other tools that you otherwise have to pay for do is backlink information. Search Console has a little bit of backlink information, but Bing has really good. In fact, you can even tell Bing Webmaster Tools who links to my competitor's site, and it will tell you, which is something a paid SEO tool usually you have to pay for. This is free from Bing Webmaster Tools, so we should be using it. And we use it because links are a major part of the algorithm, right? It's been what makes Google different, what makes Google better. We have a room full of plumbers. Who's the best plumber? And not the plumber with hat, plumber on his hat, plumber on his shirt, plumber on his truck. Like the person who mentions plumber most isn't the best plumber. It's the person everyone in that room goes, that person there, that's the best plumber, right? Links work the same way. Once a link points to a site, Google says that's a voice of credibility that that site is an expert in that field. Now, one of the ways Google knows who the expert is and what they're an expert in is the anchor text for the link, which the clickable link is called the anchor text. So if you go out and you have every place you can ever think of and you use the word plumber and you make that clickable to your plumbing website, those are all signals to Google that this is a really good plumber website, right? So once we introduce people to this concept, sometimes people go a little crazy with that, right? Because they're like, well, I got one link with the word plumber. Why not get 8,000? But let's go back to our room full of plumbers analogy. If um, if I'm in a room full of plumbers and decide who's the best plumber, it's whoever points to that plumber. But if I've given everybody in that room $5 and say, point to me and say, I'm the best plumber in the room, how credible is that? Not, right? Which is why paid links are not part of Google's algorithm. If Google finds you paying for a link, you'll get penalized. At the best, the link won't count, so you just wasted your money. At the worst, you could potentially get in trouble for violating that. Well, we've talked honestly about links before. We know that links from other websites are not necessarily just about money. Sometimes it's about time and effort, right? So you're going to have to do something to get a link. That's okay, except if you are doing it for the explicit purpose of a link. The most egregious example I've seen of this is, not stepping on any toes, web development companies. They really do this a lot. And they add a link to the footer of their website saying, this was built by this company, and it links to the client's, the web development homepage. In one sense, that seems fair, right? Who built this website? Well, company AQZ didn't build it. Web development company did, right? So that makes sense, except that it's not a real editorial link. The company is not linking to the web development company because they thought that the web development company was good. The web development company kind of snuck it in. And in that sense, it might be considered a pay-for-play. There's a rule in the link spam guidelines, which is always worthy of your time to look at Google's rules. We talk about links. But there's a rule about using your clients to build links to yourself. And so read that really carefully, because it might be a violation of Google's terms to add a link from your client's website even in the footer as a credit to your site. I'm saying it might be. And I say it might be because everybody kind of does it. And so what ends up happening is everybody does it. If you do a backlink analysis, you go to Bing Webmaster Tools, type in a web development company and do a backlink analysis, and you might realize every web development company does it. If everybody jumped into, the whole, just because everybody's doing it doesn't make it right. But to me, this is one of those things where it's like, it's a fine balance. Where it's like, okay, technically it's against the rules. Everybody does it. So maybe we should be like above the board and not do it. Problem is everybody's doing it. And so that might actually hurt us if we don't, because everybody else is doing it. So if we're going to do it, let's at least do it in a way that is not as, how do I say this? Not as disingenuous. So for instance, I think it would be far worse to add the clickable anchor text of plumber, or in this case, web development company, or some variation of that, in the footer of every page of every client's website that you've ever built. That would multiply very, very quickly. And so that seems to me to be a little excessive and maybe a little thing. But maybe and if you build the website, there may be a way of just making sure it only appears on the homepage. And maybe it's just your brand name. Which then it serves mostly as a credit of who built the website, right? If we wanted to be really conservative, we would no follow that link back to ourselves. That's the super, super safe play. We still get humans who say, oh, this is a beautiful website. Who built it? Oh, they did. I would like them. Like, if that's your goal, that accomplishes that. But it doesn't give the link. So this is where we're kind of caught in this really balanced system of maybe it's not technically right, but everybody does it. Well, here's the other news. One, for a long time, Google is basically just not counting links they think are spam. So if a web development company does that on every page of every client's website that they've ever done, and that's what they do, I think the odds are that Google knows exactly what's going on and is just simply not counting them. So if that's the case, and you feel comfortable you're doing it in a professional way, you're not trying to trick your clients, and if your client asks you to take them off, you do that. I don't think it's that risky of a behavior. I think it's a little less professional, but we are competing in especially web development companies are competing in a very, very stiff space. So yeah, so that's where we're kind of balancing this, right? Now, side note, ironically, this week I was doing a little research, even for my own business, and my own business it's very, very competitive. We're all doing SEO for SEO, right? I saw a page outrank me for something that I was like, oh, this is a softball for me. And I saw them outranking me. And I went to this blog post that was outranking me. And I'm like, there's no backlinks to it. It's actually a blog post that's kind of made up. It's like a almost AI generated blog post. If not AI, it's just baloney. Like it mentions several people by name, but those people don't even exist. I Googled the people. So this is a total fake blog post. And it outranks my site. And I'm like, what the heck? I'm doing doing good SEO and some spammer writes some arbitrary blog post and I can actually see it in my search console. The post went live, my site dropped. Like, what the heck? I'm trying to do the right thing. This spammer does it. I'm getting me mad. But I did some more research. I'm like, how can this website outrank me? Here's how. They have a WordPress plugin. That WordPress plugin, without outing this company, has a good reason to add content to a page of every site that uses this plugin. And as a result, they say this content is provided for this by this website. They put a site reference. If you need some service like this, go here. So they're basically inviting people to use their service. That goes to the home page of the service, which the plugin provides, and the blog that has the post that ranks me resides on that service. So even though that particular post has no links, that website has a lot of links because of this method. So this is kind of where we are. So these are all the things to consider. The SEO typical answer is it depends. But I guess what I'd say is I wouldn't rely on that as my only link building strategy. Right? Number one, Google's probably devaluing most of those, if any. I think there's a professional way to do it, and I think there's a scumbag way to do it. And let's appear at least to be professional. Maybe the professional is like we're just going to add to the homepage, and maybe we're just using a brand name. You make that decision of what's professional for you. I'm not here to tell you. Or just do it on every page, right? Vary it per site that you want. Like you do you. I'm just saying what are the rules and the fact that this works. But what was really interesting about this website that outranked me from their crappy little blog post that was made up of fictitious people is that it clearly was the bulk of their links, but it wasn't the only links. This plugin was actually pretty popular. I'd never heard of it before, but it was a pretty popular, well-used plugin. And so not only did it have links from every site that was using it, it had links from people saying, hey, you should use this plugin. This is a really great use for this case. And so it had other links. So the lesson here is, if your entire marketing strategy is to build backlinks on the back of your clients, I think that's risky in the sense that the best is it's going to do nothing, but it might give you a little bit of something. So don't just rely on those for your backlinks. And yet again, ring the bell for Bing Webmaster Tools that will tell us these things without having to pay for an expensive tool. That's like a very ambiguous answer, but does it kind of make sense?
Yeah, definitely. I like where you can, in Bing Webmaster, putting in what other websites you want to look and see what keywords they've got for anchor text and stuff as well.
Yeah. It's great. It's a great tool, and it helps you find stuff like this. Unfortunately, sometimes it finds things that's like, dang it, I'm trying to do this the right way. How come the scammers always win?